In five, four, three, two, one. Welcome to the Android Experience Podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about everything about Android and Google. We're here for episode 26 on Thursday, September 21st, 2017. And I'm joined by my co-host, Bill Stebbins. What's up, Bill?
What's up? Seems like we just did this last month. I don't know. When was it? It's been a while. Sorry, people.
Yeah, there's a little thing called Harvey hit over this way. It didn't hit here where I'm at, but definitely a lot of friends and family from the Houston area all the way to Lake Charles that pretty much got hit pretty hard. So we've been trying to spend all the free time helping them identify stuff they can do and then go and help people clean up their houses and things of that sort. Feel really bad for the people down in East Texas. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, everything I saw was just terrible. I hate that for them.
Yeah, I mean, and the bad thing about, as somebody identified for Houston floods with a bad thunderstorm. And as someone pointed out, they're kind of like New Orleans, that they're in a bowl, only they have even worse outdated drains. So that was like the worst situation for them, the way it sat there. Yeah. And it's bad for all of them because like Texas and even along the Sabine between Texas and Louisiana, they had a lot of flooding back in the spring of 16. So a lot of these people who are flooding again a little over a year after they flooded the first time. So you kind of just feel bad for them.
The hits just keep on coming.
Yep. But we're back and hopefully getting back to a regular routine, which is just in time because as we're going to talk about, we got some good Googleness coming out that we'll be excited about. So I guess let's get into it. First and foremost, and we'll talk about what's happening, our app releases and updates. Google Photos update. At first we thought it was Google Lens, but it was really just a teaser. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was kind of interested. I was really interested when they introduced Lens back at I/O.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff I just forget because they talk about it and then you don't hear anything. It's like, when was that again? Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they can literally do what they kind of conveyed at I/O, the idea that you could take a picture, like if your kid's at the ballpark and it will take the fence out from in between you and your kid in the picture, that's just going to be amazing. And I'm guessing they're probably saving it for the newer hardware, which we'll get into, but anything that can make photography easier from just your camera phone is amazing. I mean, it's kind of hard to think that 10, 15 years ago, we were where it was VGA quality, if that.
Yeah. Or, a couple months ago in terms of the central phone.
But I mean, it's just amazing how it got to the point where we went from, oh, you can take pictures with your phone to you can take really good pictures with your phone. Although I guess that's also why we now see everything on Instagram and Snapchat and things of that sort. You have no privacy.
That's true.
But it'll be interesting once Lens, if they really do get it where it goes. I mean, I've been excited with the stuff with Google Assistant, how they've developed that over the time. But if they can really get this, deliver what they promised with the Google Lens back at I/O, I think we're in for some pleasant surprise for your photography on the Android side.
Yeah. I mean, really a lot of the strength of the Pixel phones in the photography comes from the software side of things. And I think they're going to continue to evolve that. So even if the new Pixel has the same pretty much camera, I'd be okay with that because it's been super solid for me. I very rarely get a bad shot out of that camera. Yeah.
I have to say, I've been pleasantly surprised with my Pixel. So Oreo is out. We kind of missed that one when we were not here last month, but the factory images as well as the September security update have all been released and are now out there. Obviously, if you're rocking a Samsung phone from last year, you probably don't have it. But for all those people who have your Pixels, you should have gotten Oreo already. And at least from what our Twitter conversation of the day, you may or may not have gotten the September security update.
Yeah, and just a PSA on that. I was chatting back and forth with Jeff and Donnie about the fact that they never got it out, I just went ahead and sideloaded mine. Apparently, if you're still signed up for the Oreo beta, then you're not getting the security update for some reason. So what you need to do is just go on to the android.com/beta site, unenroll your device, and it will push the update to you without wiping your device. So the only time it would really wipe your device is if it was rolling you backwards, but because it's pushing a new update to you, it won't wipe your device. So I had a few people that reach out to me, and I noticed somebody on Reddit had the same problem, and that was the resolution. So definitely check that out and see if that fixes if you don't want to sideload.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably it didn't push because that way they didn't want to have someone saying, "Well, you pushed me off a beta."
Yeah.
So
I mean, typically they do the beta for the release, and then it just kind of flounders, and then they reset it to so you have to opt in again. I don't know if they will have betas going forward for Oreo, so we get new releases for that. I guess I'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we can talk about that next month if we see that happening.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you figure with new hardware, they may get a upgrade before the older ones get it, like in the past. Chrome 61 has begun rolling out. It's always nice when Chrome fixes stuff. It still doesn't work, but updates are great. I mean, there's always still something wrong with Chrome, it seems now lately.
I mean, there is. I tell you, one of my favorite things, though, is the Chrome Home, that they've moved the status bar and all that to the bottom. And I saw some people complaining about it. And for me, it's fantastic because it's right in my thumb reach. It, makes it so much easier to do everything.
Yeah. My view on Chrome has always been kind of like Churchill and democracy. It's the worst thing, but it's better than everything else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing I've noticed, and I guess that as much as I love my Mac, it really does seem Chrome on Mac has the worst problems, like for things that they don't fix.
Yeah, I mean, it's a battery hog and this and that, but when I use Safari for any length of time, it just drives me batty.
I agree. I mean, see original comment, worse, but it's better than everything else.
Yeah.
But I'll let you take the next one because I kind of got it from your tweet.
Yeah, so the iPhone X, as you probably know, was announced like a week or two ago.
12.
I guess it was last week. And the iPhone, it's not the X, I'm just being sarcastic. The iPhone 10 has this notch in the bezel-less display at the top for the camera and a bunch of other sensors for the facial recognition and stuff. And so there's at least one developer for Android who created an app that basically overlays the notch on your Pixel or whatever phone you have, just so you can kind of feel what that feels like. And honestly, it looks ridiculous on the Pixel because it's like chin on chin on chin, but it's still funny. I laugh.
I'm just curious what happened to the iPhone 9.
Oh, that'll be 2 years from now, right? Because we get the 8, the 8S, and then the 9. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to, what it is? The Note skipped. They skipped to, what did they skip from 5 to 7? Right?
Wasn't it 6? Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they just skipped. And so the iPhone is doing that as well. So they're still ahead, and the number, bigger number, better. That's my theory on it. I think it's a valid theory, though.
Now that we have iPhone 10 or X, do we start naming it after? They've already done cats. Do we start naming it after dogs? You get that, right?
Yeah.
For OS 10.
Yeah.
I mean, if you skip numbers at this point, I hope you're going to change your naming conventions. I mean, it's obvious why they called it the 10 because of the 10th anniversary phone, but
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's just kind of odd, but I still think that they skipped 9, and there will never be like an official number 9 iPhone.
Yeah. Although I'm surprised it wasn't just the 7S.
I mean, that's basically what the 8 is.
Because I mean, if they think about it, if they went with the S, they could have still had the 10, and then it opens them up for a platform of an 8, an 8S, and a 10.2 or 10 whatever, 10.1, and you call it their Pro line, iPhone Pro.
Yeah, somewhere some marketing person said, if we have the 7S this year, they're already on the Note 8, so we can't do that because that's going to look like we're behind Samsung.
Well, considering they're just now getting to wireless charging.
I mean, they are. They're on the Galaxy.
I mean, but although I have to give them props that I was figuring they were going to do some kind of like the mag charge for wireless charging, but they legit went with Qi.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that, but it's just annoying that, you know, it's been on these other phones for forever, and people that have no clue think that, oh my gosh, Apple invented wireless charging.
But I legit, no lie, I'm hoping at some point we get it back from Google. I mean,
oh, absolutely. That's one feature that I wish I still had, because it's not fast, but it's very convenient, especially at night.
See, and mine is especially convenient at work because I can just sit it down when I'm not using it, but then I can quickly pick it up. I don't have to worry about stress on the cable, plugging and unplugging when I go to meetings and things of that sort.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that doesn't really require a whole lot to do. I mean, the extra, whatever it is, 0.5 millimeter wouldn't be something that anybody would complain about if they got it.
Yeah. I mean, and it gives you options, and obviously cables are going to give you your quick charge stuff, but with the weatherproofing and stuff like that, waterproofing and dust proofing, wireless charging gives you some options there that you don't necessarily have if you're just relying on charging.
Right.
But it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see what kind of new stuff we get when the new stuff comes out. Speaking of new stuff coming out, kind of getting into our top stories, October 4th, we got our Google event, and apparently we now know everything that's going to happen.
That's okay. It's good stuff.
But I guess start digging straight into it. I mean, first and foremost, we knew this was coming. The Pixel 2, Pixel 2 XL, or whatever they're actually going to call it. We knew we were getting a new one, and it seems confirmed that the smaller one's going to be by HTC and the bigger one by LG. The renders, which we put a link to some of the leaked pictures that have been leaked out. It looks pretty similar to last year's, but a little sleeker.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically an LG, the bigger one's an LG V30 is essentially what it is on the front, and then they've got kind of the pixel styled glass on the rear. It doesn't cover or doesn't surround the fingerprint scanner, so they made that a little bit shorter. Excuse me, but I sent you some renders. I don't know if you got them in Hangouts of the light bar stickers on there. They you know, I was hoping they wouldn't include a light bar so we could continue selling stickers, and they did not. So
trying to get to my Hangout. I deactivated it out of Chrome because it was problems. Oh,
that's all right. But we will be selling stickers once again as soon as we get our hands on one and can verify sizing. My guess is that the Google logo will be the same, and we just need to adjust the width a little bit.
Yeah, I'm hoping from the renders and stuff like that. The biggest thing, my biggest complaint with them last year was the bezels. I mean, everything was going to bezel-less or lower bezels, and they put a big chin on that thing.
Yeah, and this year we're supposed to get stereo speakers, which will be fantastic because that's one feature on the Nexus 6 that I really, really enjoyed. And so, you know, the fact that hopefully we're going to have that again will make that pretty amazing. Guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the specs seem about what we'd expect. I mean, we did see a lot of people complaining about the price. They're like, because all the people that were ragging about the iPhone 10 and the price, and then it comes out. But I mean, if you look at like the Note and everything, and most of the flagships nowadays, the $900 phone is about where you're going to expect for your upper end phone.
Yeah, and I realize that it's a lot of money. For me, it's pretty much just a once a year purchase, and I offset that with my previous phone, so I'm going to be out probably for 450. I don't know. You can actually, they've got 24-month financing with no interest if you want to do that. That's a good way to build up some credit if you don't have credit. Go ahead and get on the site now and apply through their credit company and get set up so that on October 4th, when the phone goes on sale, you just add it to your cart, check out, and boom, you're done. That's basically all that we did last year, and it was pretty seamless. If you waited around, it was not so seamless, and there was long waits to get the phone. And hopefully a lot of that's remedied, because I think at this point Google is more than just dabbling in hardware. I mean, once they moved to the Pixel, they got Rick Osterloh from Motorola. We'll talk about them buying into HTC. They are in this for the long haul, and the more they focus on these devices, because they've got a whole gambit of devices coming up. They want people to continue buying their phones.
Yeah.
And even if it's not something you can do right now, if you wait around 4, 5, 6 months, you'll find them for half price. I mean, they'll be down in the $400 or $500 range.
Yeah, I mean, and the big thing is with the Pixel XL being made by LG this time, LG is usually pretty good about keeping stock.
Yeah, to replace all the boot looping phones.
But I mean, at least this way it won't, where before both sizes were by HTC, so you had a lot of stress on one manufacturer to get both products out in mass.
Yeah.
And I think they underestimated how many people wanted the XL, because there's been plenty of Pixels, but the XL pretty much, that they had trouble keeping that in stock, especially in the 128 size.
Yep. And so I'm going with the Panda Oreo phone, which I think we talked about this last time, that I really, really wanted them to do like an Oreo style phone with white back, black front, something like that. And so it looks like we're going to get that. So I'm going with the white one, because that the Nexus 6 in white was one of my favorite phones from a design perspective, and I love that color combo. And I'm gonna go. I think if they have a 64 or 128, I think I'm gonna go for the 64. If it was 32 or 128, I'd definitely get the 128. But between 64 and 128, I can handle 64. So I think I'm just gonna go and save the $100.
I may do that too. I have the 128 for my Pixel, and I think last time I checked, I was using 12%. So, I mean,
Pretty
even
much.
with pictures, because I mean, with Google Photos, you back up and clean out the storage every so often. And I mean, it's a phone, so I'm not downloading a ton of Netflix and stuff, where I could see that would be beneficial if you're a person who wants to download like Netflix movies from the go. It doesn't let you use external stuff and things that sort. So you're going to want more internal storage. Or if you take a lot of 4K video and a lot of high-end photography on your phone, and you want to keep, and you just don't trust the cloud, or you don't back up routinely, I could see going with the bigger.
Yeah. And I keep wondering, every year I think I'm going to, the advances in the camera and the video stuff is going to warrant me using more of that space. But the way that Google Photos handles it's been so good for me that I don't really mind that it's not, located on the device if I have access to it. So I'm just probably going to settle with the 64. And yeah, I mean, I tweeted the other day that it was going to be a really expensive October, November period for me. There's all kinds of stuff coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I think 64. Yeah, because if it was 32, I'm going 128. No brainer. 64, I can. That's what I got with the 6P, and I had plenty of room there.
Yeah.
But so part of the aspect about this is the squeezable sides, which it's going to be interesting to see how that plays. But I can already see how app developers could find a use for that.
I could see it if you made it where you could just squeeze the phone to take a picture or something. Because I find it a little awkward sometimes trying to use my thumb or grab the power button or something to take a picture. Yeah. And so if that would be one useful thing that I could see that actually working for.
Yes, especially when you're taking that awkward, you're trying to get the picture of like behind the TV.
Yeah.
Squeeze your phone, click.
You got to like hold it back there and try and tap your watch with your chin or your tongue or something. I've never done that, but I'm just saying theoretically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing I could see for it too is have the squeeze where you could mute your phone, like have it stop ringing instead of having to fiddle for something. I mean, we had the whole thing with phones where you flip it over, but it'd be nice if you're in a meeting, you like in your pocket or something, you can just grab it, kind of give it a squeeze, and it'll stop.
Yep, I agree. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern with that would be is that's a potential of hardware feature that could fail.
Yeah,
and it could cause problems if you're getting false hits and things of that sort. Now, getting into things that I just don't know what the hell they're thinking. We got a leak that they're going to be announcing the Google Pixel Book, which is basically their new Chromebook, Pixel Chromebook, that's going to have a Pixel Book pen. But for the price they're wanting for this thing, you could go buy like a full-fledged MacBook Pro.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. Who's going to buy that? That's like the original one that was like $1,000. This is even worse.
I mean, Chromebooks are good for what the purpose you're willing to deal with their lack of functionality because they're cheap. I mean, even like the Chromebook Plus, it's not as cheap as some of the other ones, but you're worth spending it because I mean, it's like buying a cheaper tablet. But I mean, at that price level, geez. And then the pen being a separate add-on purchase that, at least with like the Chromebook Plus, they thought it out. It came with the pen and it has a place to store it. I mean, whereas this Pixel Book is going to be this metal monstrosity and an extra pencil that you're paying for that has no storage place for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who the target audience is for that, but for the price, I'd buy something else every time.
I think the only way I could see spending like that much money for this thing is it better damn well dual boot like Windows.
Well, yeah, that would be great then, but
or at least let me have the ability to load it on there. But I mean, the Chromebooks are notorious for not having a lot of onboard storage. So unless they're going to overcome that with this, I mean, I don't get it. They overshot their market on this, I think. Now, one thing that I think is an interesting idea is the Google Home Mini. Because, I mean, you and I had talked about the idea that was one thing that I think Amazon did well with the Echo, and then they had the dots so that you could strategically place, instead of buying full-fledged Echoes for all your rooms, you had the dot, which would work in concert with everything, and it would be less obtrusive, like on your kitchen counter and things of that sort. So the fact that Google Home is coming out with a mini version, I think that's a good step in the right direction for people. It'll also open up the market for people who don't want to spend the money for the full-size thing.
I'm ordering one of these. I mean, for $50,
yeah,
there's it's kind of an impulse purchase, but that'll be perfect to throw out in the garage or whatever, so that I can control whatever I need to control without having to have my phone handy. And
and I mean, the different color schemes stuff look pretty cool. I mean, it's a product that seems like it's one kind of like when the Chromecast first came out. It's a low enough price point. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. So I've definitely got my eye on one of those. I'm planning to pick one of those up too.
So the other thing we kind of got released is that they're coming out with a new updated version of the Daydream View, but it's kind of sketchy on exactly what's really upgraded about it. I'm guessing probably maybe a better control.
Yeah, and it's more expensive too, which
yeah,
like
I mean, especially considering the last time we got it for free because we pre-ordered because
Well,
we ordered.
they may include it when you order the Pixel.
Yeah, I
mean, that'd be okay, but I don't use mine a whole lot.
I'd rather get the Mini for doing a pre-order.
Yeah, I would too, because my other one's kind of gathering dust at this point.
Mine is because I'm not quite sure where the remote is. it kind of slid in another box, and I'm not sure where it is. So I'm hoping the batteries in it didn't corrode, because then it'll just be waste. But I mean, it was cool, but the biggest problem I had with it, and when you and I talked about this in the past, it makes your phone really freaking hot, and you can't really enjoy it for any extended period of time because of that. So, I mean, it just is one of those things. If they can eventually give me like a standalone unit that just connects to my phone for data, then I think that's when it'll be something that, because it can be built to not overheat. It doesn't need, and then you get rid of the screen door effect because you're having glasses built specifically for the unit.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for.
I mean, when you give me that, and I'll go buy one tomorrow. Just pretty because to me, I mean, if nothing else, I love the thing where like the Star Viewer app was pretty awesome. Like the fact that it knew where the remote was, it looked like a heads-up display when you looked at it. I mean, for educational stuff like that it can be really fun. But I mean, I could also see like people like making like your own version, like a Madden or a football or something, where you're doing that, or fishing, whatever, with the remotes, especially if you do a dual remote where you can kind of interact with it. There's a lot of things you can do with that.
Definitely.
So getting beyond that, we hinted about this. Google has basically bought a big piece of HTC, basically bought all of the Pixel people for $1.1 billion, and that's billion with a B. So as you said earlier, Google looks like they're going all in on becoming a hardware manufacturer.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what comes of this, because it's an agreement, and it's not like HTC still retains their manufacturing stuff, but Google's got, I don't know. I don't know if it's like, we talk about when companies take over other companies for, just to get the people. It's kind of like that, but not all the way. It's very odd. And I'm interested.
It was more precise. They went in, they got the people they wanted, these manufacturers who have been working on the Pixel line and understand kind of Google's vision for their line. And then they also picked up the ability to access all these patents that HTC has that they'll be able to utilize. I mean, they didn't do like they did with Motorola and buy the patents and then sell off the company. This way, they just basically worked out an agreement where they have access to use them.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Google sees some big value in doing that, and that's good for consumers, I think, because it's going to lead to some really cool stuff. I mean, I think HTC's been trying to do a lot of really neat stuff with their phones, and they just can't get any traction. I mean, some of the stuff that they do, if Apple had been doing it, people would go crazy for it. But nobody really even pays attention to HTC a lot anymore.
No, I mean, and I think this money was probably a bone Google kind of threw to them to kind of help give them some capital to kind of keep themselves afloat, but at the same time allowing Google not to be drugged down and by counting on a sinking ship.
Yeah, I mean, the Google does really need to have several players in the Android pool. And if HTC goes under, then you're left with LG, Samsung, Huawei, and Motorola pretty much, and a couple other smaller places. But they definitely need to keep them afloat. And I'm interested to see how it all plays out and what actually, in the next year or so, what actually comes of this.
Yeah, and speaking of like Google throwing cash around, there's rumors that Google may be investing up to $1 billion in Lyft, which my guess is that's the connection for their self-driving cars at some point.
Huh. Yeah. I mean, they've got to find a place, like an actual application for it.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a way to kind of incorporate it, even if it was connected more at like a airport or something along those lines, but Lyft and the system and everything, it can tie into a lot of things Google puts out that they own with Google Maps and everything else. That's a way for them to kind of get their hands on someone that's already out there in the field. So it'll be interesting. I'm guessing it was easier to invest the $1 billion in Lyft than into dealing with Uber.
Yeah.
So, kind of a public service announcement. Some people already knew this, but Google, it kind of came out that if you do device backups, if you go more than 60 days without inactivity, they're going to delete your stuff. So it shouldn't be a problem for most people, because every time you log into a device with your account, it automatically resets it for 60 days. But if you're a person who maybe, like some people have historically done, switching over to iOS for a while, and you don't use any Google stuff for a while, you may lose all your backups. So be careful.
Yeah, that one still doesn't make any sense. And I think Google will have to revisit that and make some adjustments to that policy, especially since it's sitting on your Google Drive.
Yeah, that you're maybe paying for.
Yeah.
So this one came out for a while, that people who had Nexus 6Ps that had been having warranty issues, but they were still under warranty and they were sending them in for warranty claims. Google was, and I stress the was because this is ended, was actually replacing these people's 6Ps with Pixel XLs.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was they were replacing 6Ps that were not under warranty any longer.
Yeah.
Because there's a battery shutdown bug on the 6P where the phone would shut off with 30 or 40% battery still remaining, and so they started replacing them with Pixel XLs. I have been kind of trying to troubleshoot that on my wife's phone for a few months now, and I saw a thread on Reddit about it, so I reached out to Google about it, and they actually upgraded her. She had a 6P that was 64 gig. They upgraded her to a 128 gig Pixel XL, even though her phone is coming up on 2 years. She got it Christmas of 2015. So, so good on them. However, I got a hold of them last Wednesday, and somebody was supposed to get back to me, and I reached out again on Thursday of last week. I finally got somebody on the chat, and they, I was on there for forever, and they finally said, good news, we're going to replace it with the Pixel XL. We'll send you the RMA. I got that right away. I ordered the new phone. It said it would ship on the 15th and arrive on the 18th or 19th. It still hasn't shipped.
Oh.
So it's been a week. Keep in mind, this is supposed to be a replacement phone for a defective phone that we purchased directly from Google.
Mm-hmm.
So I call again today and say, hey, it's been a week since I ordered the replacement. I think that's a little silly. Where is it? Well, we need to check with the carrier. And I'm like, but it hasn't shipped yet. Well, I know we need to check with the carrier and see what's going on with that. So I don't know. But then he says, well, give me 2 or 3 business days and I will have you an answer. Like, so
you should have said 2 or 3 business days. I better have a damn phone.
You better work weekends, pal. So yeah. So now it's looking like maybe Monday or Tuesday before I'll even know. And so it's going to be probably 2 weeks or more since I originally got this, which I was super excited about because they didn't have to do that. Good on them for taking care of people who are having problems with Huawei's phone. But now it's kind of, not so good. And it's not that they're out of them. You can still buy one on the Play Store today.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on, but it went from a wow to a wow.
Maybe they're all in a warehouse in Houston.
Great. Yeah. So Luckily, my wife's a good sport about it, and she just charges her phone twice or 3 times a day and makes sure it doesn't shut off. But it's really annoying that, because I wasn't going to deal with it because the plan was that she would get my Pixel XL next month anyway. And
Mm-hmm.
then, I would just get the new Pixel. But I thought, well, if they're taking care of it, then we're going to go ahead and do that. And
Yeah,
so
because
who knows?
you only have a 32 gig XL, right?
Yeah, that's all I have, which is fine. I
Yeah.
mean, she doesn't need. I only got her a 64 because I was planning. I wanted the white 6P, and we were going to
Yeah.
swap them, and then I decided not to. Yeah. Here's your
But,
Christmas present. Here's the black one instead that I've been using for 3 months.
I'm gonna say if you get the Panda edition one, you might have to hold on to that one just to give it to the youngest.
Yeah. Yeah, she's already excited about the Panda. I may actually have to make some Panda stickers for him too.
As well as some light bars.
Yeah. Yep. Light bar stickers with pandas.
So the Galaxy Note 8 came out. We didn't really link anything there. I mean, it looks like a great phone. No rumors of anything exploding so far. I mean, you can tell they've had to do a lot of goodwill building. So everywhere I've seen, you get like, if you buy one, you get $240 something worth of accessories for buying it. So they're really trying to entice people. And I mean, I'll say I was legit interested at one point of doing it, just got it because I can get it through Sam's. But then I was like, but it doesn't get no updates. I'm like, it's a great device, and I really wish Google would bring like an S Pen type thing to the Pixel type phones, or even better, give us finally an update to the Pixel C. But yeah, I can't handle the whole idea of a manufacturer with a carrier keeping you from getting updates. To me, it's Pixel or bust.
Yeah, I mean, and that is kind of my thing now for the last couple of years. I'm just sticking with Google's phone. It's going to get updates. I'll be able to get in the beta and get them as soon as they come out. I don't, excuse me. The Note has great hardware and it looks fantastic and all that stuff, but I just don't want to deal with not getting updates quickly.
Yeah. I mean, and that's my biggest thing, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that phone looked legit awesome when I played with it. Played with one at Sam's and played with one over at Best Buy. But I'm just like, I know as soon as I get it, it's like the car depreciating as soon as you leave the lot. I better enjoy it right now because it ain't getting any updates anytime soon.
No doubt.
So we had kind of mentioned it earlier, the Essential phone. For people who were interested in it, you now have Sprint is now selling them in their stores. So obviously that means you have to deal with Sprint, but you do have an actual place that's selling them. It means you can go in and play with them.
I really want to go play with one, but then again, I don't, because I think the hardware looks amazing, but I can't deal with that camera. Just seeing the pictures that it takes it would just be nauseating.
But I mean, yeah, it's one of those, again, to me, at the end of the day, it's like Pixel or bust.
Yeah, I mean, and that sounds very fanboyish, Patrick, but I mean, before it was like, well, this phone's got a better camera, and the Pixel does pretty much everything well, and it checks all the boxes for me, and so that is going to keep me on that. I mean, maybe I'll get bored at some point and pick up something else, but I've done the 2 or 3 phone shuffle, and it just gets old.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, for me, I like the fact that I get my updates. I when I buy it from Google, it's unlocked, which means I can legitimately take it anywhere I want. So if I need to use it somewhere else, or if I want to buy a prepaid card, go in like to Europe or out of the country, it'll work. So I mean, I just like the fact that my carrier has zero say in when I get my updates.
Yeah, me too.
Which is important for you and I, because you deal with AT&T and I deal with Verizon. So neither of them are notoriously good about updates.
No, not at all.
So kind of getting into our picks, what do you have for us?
My pick is Forza 7, new Xbox game coming out next month in a few weeks. They just put out a demo, and I downloaded it the other day. Finally got to sit down for a few minutes and play it, and it is bonkers. It's like being in, whatever car you want to drive. It's just like driving that car, especially if you've got a bigger screen and you can sit in front of it and do the driver mode where you're actually sitting in the car and you can see the dashboard and the steering wheel, and it's fantastic. And I think I may have mentioned this before, but when I was last year, I went down to Austin, Texas at the Circuit of the Americas track, and I got to drive on the racetrack a couple of different Cadillac models. And in order to prepare for that, I used Forza, one of the earlier games, because it had the same cars in there. So I raced at that track, and I spent probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 hours just practicing on that. And then when I got there in person, it was almost identical the way the car felt, actually driving it versus driving it sitting on my couch. The layout of the track I already had down pat. So if you like gaming and you like driving, the Forza game is just, God, it's so amazing. I mean, the physics of it, when you're driving in the rain, it feels like you're driving in the rain. You can feel when you hit puddles and start to hydroplane, and it's just crazy good. And it's going to actually be optimized to work on the new Xbox One X, which I ordered the Scorpio edition.
Me too.
I don't own a 4K TV, Patrick.
Well, you missed out. As I'm going to talk about in a minute, you could have got a really great deal on one.
Well, my hope is that I can upgrade my projector. There's a semi-affordable 4K projector out now, and my hope is that around there I can just upgrade and just do it all at once. Just rip off the Band-Aid. October, November, just gonna be really, really expensive months, and yeah.
Santa Claus could be washing dishes.
Santa Claus is gonna have nothing to bring me because I already have all of it.
Tell that to the 2 kids.
Oh yeah. If you do not believe, you don't receive.
So for Forza, do you play just controller, or do you have a wheel and pedals?
I have both, but I don't use the wheel and pedals anymore. I don't know. They've got some newer ones that work on the Xbox One, which I don't own. They're pretty expensive. Like a good one's several $100s. So I just use the controller, but you could still get a lot of the same sensation. I think at some point I want to build some kind of a driving rig where I actually sit down in it, and it's more like being in a car, because
a little rumble in the
card table isn't the same.
Put a little rumble in the seat.
Yeah, I do have rumble in the seat. Yeah.
So for mine, speaking of 4K TVs, Best Buy actually had a really good sale on 4K TVs over Labor Day weekend. And so I finally got my first 4K. I wanted a new TV for the bedroom that could use. So I got a 43-inch Samsung 4K. It was I can't remember if it's 5 or 6 series. So, I mean, it's not like the top of the line, but yeah, 6 series, because it's 6300 is the number.
Yes,
I put it in.
That's how I do.
Yeah. But I mean, at first I was like, oh, wow, the 4K was legit awesome, especially with the built-in apps. But to me, I think the thing that really was just awesome, because you can tell it's been a while since I bought a new TV, was the built-in Bluetooth. Because I go, wait a minute, you mean this thing can connect to Bluetooth speakers? So I immediately went and grabbed my Bluetooth headphones, and sitting there, I can listen at night watching my TV without having to worry about waking up anyone, which was freaking awesome. Because I mean, it paired instantly after I de-paired it from the iPad. But they sit there, it instantly connected with all of my devices. I had an Apple TV hooked up to it. Not only did it pair and recognize it instantly, the Samsung remote can actually act as your Apple remote for it. So you can go through all your menus back and forth. The only thing it doesn't do, this one has the built-in voice controls where you can ask your TV to do stuff for you, but it won't stand in for the Siri on the Apple remote. But immediately went and got me a Chromecast Ultra because I had no use for one until now. But the built-in apps in it were great enough. But then the thing that I think legit, and I talked to you about this, that legit just made me go, okay, I'm in love. Because it's networked as a smart TV, it actually recognizes my HD Home Run DVR server, and it actually gives me folders for each channel as a video file, and I can click it, and it's like watching a cable box, and it actually works with the DRM channels too.
That is really, that's the way it should be. I mean, my Samsung used to work with that, and then they updated it at some point, and it no longer does, and they're not planning to fix it.
Yeah,
which is just stupid.
The only thing that would be even better is if it had the built-in HD Home Run app so that I could easily set recordings and stuff. But the fact that I can access all of those as a channel, like I was sitting there because with college football starting, I was like, I don't have a box in here. I have other things. How am I going to, what I want to watch? Click, go into my favorite folders because I only have like about 15 channels set as favorites. Went straight to the ESPN one, and boom, HD on my 4K TV. Awesomeness.
That is really cool.
I mean, it also will, because it's networked, if you do over the air, which I got me an antenna, I was kind of disappointed because our CBS station here sucks. They have the worst tower in the world. You pretty much have to have at least a 30-inch antenna, indoor antenna, to even catch it, even though it's less than 10 miles away. But because it's networked, when you go into the over the air portion of your TV, it actually has a guide and it recognizes the channels and tells you what's playing. It looks almost just like the TiVo one, where it has the line that shows where you are within the hour of a show. It has all of that. And for network, I have a Play On server running. It accesses it, so I can play any of my movies off of it, plus things off of Vudu, Hulu. The 4K from Vudu, I actually finally watched Wonder Woman in 4K. Wow. Just going to go with that. Wow.
But
I mean,
that's what we've wanted for a long time.
And the best part, that 43-inch TV, I paid before tax $429.
Wow.
For a 43. And I'm like, it does everything I could want it to do. Has expandability later with the Bluetooth and all this stuff that if I want to add a sound bar and things of that sort. I almost pulled the trigger. Sam's had a sale on the 60-inch version. No, 60-inch. They had it for $700.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
but
see, that one comes up. You can even get that one in a 75-inch.
Yep. I mean, now, don't get me wrong. When I bought it at Best Buy, she's like, well, before you buy it, let me show you this. And they go show you the QLEDs, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, as much as I like the QLED, for my living room TV, part of the reason I didn't pick that 60-inch for the $700, if I'm going to eventually get my new living room TV, I'm seriously thinking LG OLED. That thing is just wow. It's as awesome as the QLED is for like the blacks. The OLED for every color is just, it's like when plasma first came out, where you look at it and you're just going, wow. I mean, we're talking like, wow. It looks like you're looking at live stuff. But of course, the bad thing is we spend all these money on these things, and they're already talking about within 10 years, they're going to go to the next broadcasting standard, which will be 4K broadcast, which means we'll probably all need new tuners and TVs.
Of course.
But I'm looking forward with the 4K because, like you, I pre-ordered the Scorpio edition, and I picked up a couple of Blu-rays at Walmart because they had really good deals on some of the 4K ones. So I picked up like Deadpool. What else did I pick up? Lego Batman movie, because sometimes the animated stuff sometimes looks even better in 4K.
Oh yeah.
So I picked that up. Deadpool, and one other one I can't remember. And then I picked up for my sister because that was her big movie growing up. Because I could give her the streaming version, which is also in 4K. They have the anniversary edition of Labyrinth with David Bowie.
Oh yeah.
So got all of that, and then I bought through Vudu the UHD version of Wonder Woman as well as Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And they all look awesome. Because I mean, did you see Guardians 2?
Yes, it's hilarious.
That beginning part is just freaking awesome in 4K.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice that 4K is getting where it's affordable. And I mean, they're even outside of Samsung, these Roku TVs and stuff, some of these things are like legit awesome TVs for what you get. So it's a great pick. I love it. I'm probably eventually get a new one for the living room at some point.
Nice.
So let's let everybody know where we can reach us.
I'm easy. Find me on Twitter at Bill Stebbins.
How about you, Bill?
Yeah. Hello?
You there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did I cut out?
Yeah. It's like you disappeared for a second. But so where can we find you?
I am on Twitter at Bill Stebbins. I'm pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we call you Bill, the Internet Stebbins.
That's right. You
can find me on Twitter at AXP_Patrick. You can find me also simulcast, which we'll hopefully be recording. I'm gonna get with you and Donnie. Maybe we'll do one next week if we can.
Yeah.
And then also on the Tech Talk podcast with Clay and the guys, including Jerry and
who?
Wow. That's kind of my outlet for the non Google stuff and random tech, but you can catch us on that. At some point, I'm going to have to update my online website. I might get with you at some point because you helped me the last time.
Sure.
But kind of waiting because I know you get the garage going right now, which
yeah,
should lead to some interesting stuff for the simulcast at some point.
Oh, trust me, lots of smart home stuff going in the garage.
The man cave.
Yes.
Or the Fortress of Solitude. So with that, you can find us by simply searching for Android Experience or Tech Side in your podcast client of choice. You can subscribe to our show in Google Play Music or iTunes. Please take the time to leave us a review and comment. We also have a link for our non-Google Play and iTunes listeners, which you can find right here in our show notes. We also have a Patreon page, which gives our dedicated and loyal listeners an opportunity to support the podcast as well as the other podcasts on the Tech Side Network for as little as $1 a month. If you'd like to support us, visit our support page at patreon.com/techside. Leave us a comment at AXP Podcast or email the network at axp@techside.net. You can check out our website at techside.net/AXP, and also be sure to check out our other great podcasts, blogs, photo galleries, and TechSide store at techside.net. We thank you all for listening. Goodbye and good night.
Good night.